Stay with me. Stay with me. In the silence of your room, in the darkness of your dreams, you must only think of me. There can be no in between. When your pride is on the floor, I'll make you beg for more. Stay with me. Stay with me. You'd better hope and pray that you make it safe back to your own world. You'd better hope and pray that you'll wake one day in your own world. 'Cause when you sleep at night, they don't hear your cries in your own world. Only time will tell if you can break the spell back in your own world.
All right. So, working with all these iconic artists, how did that transform your career?
Good question. Well, I guess it gave me an idea of, how to see how it's done. First of all, it was a learning experience. And also, well, there's something that you don't want to do. Some set examples of, I definitely don't want to do that. But
Yeah.
a lot of respect, a lot of information, a lot of observation, and it definitely influenced me. I don't know how I got so lucky to be on the projectile that I was on, but it really, I think it really helped me in many ways to learn about, how to navigate the music business and being a woman as well. I mean,
yeah,
that was another thing that you really had to be careful about, falling into traps and labels and stuff like that. Just be careful of who you trust, really, is what I learned. And, of who you decide to, be with, who you decide to give your heart to. Because there's a lot of, being taken advantage of as a woman. I mean, to give you an example, I should probably not mention names, but, and I'm
no,
don't. But I was forced into signing a contract by someone, a man who would not let me take it to a lawyer to be signed. I always had a lawyer look at whatever I signed, but I was forced into signing something that, and the reason I bring it up is because he was flirting with me, right? And not giving me all the details. And he was appealing to my kind nature and to this flirtatious nature, and didn't really divulge to me what I was signing, but I said I had to sign it. So, I mean, I could have said no. I could have said absolutely not, fuck you, but I did. and thankfully I didn't have to have sex with the guy, but
Yeah.
I'm sure, you know, if I would have acquiesced or said I would, then that would have been fine with him too. But luckily it wasn't that wasn't the case, but still, it was bad. A lot of trickery going on and a lot of dishonesty. And I just really regret that I didn't, you know, say, well, absolutely not. I'm not going to sign this. But I was threatened. Well, if you don't sign this, then your song's not going to be on this thing. I'm like,
It seems to be also a trend. We still see
Yeah.
that. Like it could be labels or producers, as you mentioned, for example, that they threaten you or they say something. It's industry standards, and that's something that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
And nothing is industry standards. It doesn't exist.
No.
And if they try to trick you into something, if your gut feeling says like this is weird, then it is right. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that there's something that we were talking about just recently, was because the same thing happened to me. I didn't have fortunately the sexual element of it, but a track that had done very, very well was getting played in Radio 1. Basically, I had written it, and all of a sudden this guy turns up in the studio claiming to be the manager of the producer. And I was more or less told that if I didn't sign, that didn't tell me what it was that I was signing, and I didn't know because I was very green and a bit silly, and literally turned up and said, sign this. Without actually saying it, he kind of suggested that if I didn't sign it, I was out.
right.
I was out. And so of course, at that point, you want to do well. You want to do well. So I signed it, and it was and he took my publishing.
So yeah, there's so many stories out there, but yet again, for the listeners that are listening to our podcast,
Yeah,
as you see, there is a trend going on here,
yeah.
even for major icons like Marcella here.
Yeah.
And it's something needs to be changed.
Absolutely. So note to self: if you're approached and asked to sign something, never sign it unless you get some legal advice.
Never. I don't care if they say you're out, you say, well, I'm sorry, but you're out until I get legal help.
Yeah.
But,
exactly.
But I think it's important to also mention here that actually it is legally required for somebody to get a chance to read over and understand and comprehend what is there. That's a legal requirement, and it could be actually used in potentially a case where
really?
you're
Court law.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see this happen many times, when you work with, let's say, a bigger artist that maybe is bigger than yourself, or you think or you feel that they're bigger and they know they're a bit bigger or whatever.
Sure.
They kind of use it to be like, well, you have to sign this because we're going to release it now. And, no, just say no.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, that's right. They do. They use that, and I'm sure they're aware of it, but it's their management that uses the power and makes you feel like nothing and like they are everything.
Yeah.
They don't give you any credit, and the part that makes me sick, because obviously you have value, or they wouldn't want to use something that you were part of creating.
Well, and you have hit the nail on the head. Without the creators, there is no product. Without the product, there are no record companies.
Right.
And there is no music industry. And this is why treat the creators with respect. Give them what they deserve is kind of where I'm coming from. Give them what they deserve.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll tell you one other thing about this whole kind of situation. But after I did Pop Star to Opera Star in 2010, I was working on an album anyway. Before that, I had a bunch of songs, and I had a producer working on it with me. And I went in to play it to the head of A&R at a very well-known label. I won't mention any names. But after, how when you're in a label's office and it's kind of cringe-worthy, you're playing stuff and you're wondering, what their reaction is going to be. Well, he played like 4 or 5 songs, and he turned around to me and he said, that's some of the best stuff I've ever heard. I'm like, and so I was like feeling cocky. I said, "Oh, are you going to sign me or what?" And he's like, "Oh, well," he started saying something about my age.
Okay.
Yeah, about like, my age being a problem. And anyways, so
Jesus.
flash forward to
Hang on. What age were you, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah.
You don't have to answer this
well,
question.
I'm no spring chicken. I mean, anybody who Googles me, you know how old I am. Right now I'm 71.
Shut up.
Amazing.
I can't. Marcella, you look phenomenal.
Yeah, this is goals for me. Like seriously.
No,
It's amazing. You look like
seriously. What
40.
what do you put in your face? I want to know.
Yeah, you need to make your own little
Seriously, I'm
line.
not joking.
Want to. I think that's going to be my next project, because everybody always asks me that. But I was blessed with good genes, and I actually use a product by Sunday Riley called Good Genes, and it's like acid. It's about exfoliating your skin and then nourishing it. But anyway, so I was no spring chicken, and my manager went to see him a few weeks later and said, "So Marcy tells me you loved her music." He says, "Well, we would never sign her." And he said, "Well, why not? I mean, you love the music." And
Wow.
He said, "Well, she knows too much." He's like,
Oh my Lord.
What do you mean she knows too much? Well, she would never sign a 360 deal. I mean, these days we want a piece of the
everything of everything.
So they knew that this deal is bad.
Gigs. And you're right, I wouldn't. But
no,
good thing, people are doing that because that's the only kind of deals they're offered, and they're only offered those kind of deals because labels got greedy, right? They got greedy, and they got
really greedy.
They didn't do anything, but they got stupid too, because they didn't take Napster seriously. And that was the beginning of the downfall of the value of music. They didn't try to stop it. And now they got to make money. So that's the only way to make their money.
Yeah. Yeah. I recently come across a contract when working with other people also in the music industry, and what we saw there on the contract is basically the label is taking like, I don't know, 85%. The rest is given to the artist, right? However, and then let's say there's 3 people that is collaborating, so they all had to split on that. So maybe you get 5%. But on part of that, the label is taking, I think it was like 600 euros or something from just making marketing or whatever. Like they're taking a big bunch of money. So even if you get 5%, you will never actually see the money coming back, because they're taking that money to promote, and it's just ridiculous. And that's not even included in the like the percentage they're taking in royalties. It's just like on top. Yeah. So basically, the person that signed that contract will probably never see a penny, and they know they're doing this.
It's not just about them not seeing a penny. Often these kind of situations absolutely are so deflating emotionally. When and especially if something does really, really well, and they end up in a similar kind of boat to yourself or other artists that have had big successes, and they've got nothing to show for it, or they feel they've got no control over it. And I think that's really, really sad. But I want to just jump in and ask you, as we're in this kind of groove, think back, because when I remember this too, record labels, I mean, they developed artists, I'm not saying they were great and they were nice people at times, but they developed artists, they actually put money up and paid for your recording, and they paid for your wardrobe, and they paid for your stuff. Okay, that was all part of that advance. But nowadays, the labels, they're still taking the same percentages, but not having to put out any of the money. And
really?
Well, they don't have to, because most of the artists now have their own home studios. They record all the stuff there. so they don't have to pay for that. They send in the masters, all done. They don't pay for any of the remixers, because the remixers all want to do it to get profile, so they don't have to pay for that too. But even back in our day, Marcella, they were paying remixers at least, you know, for doing remixes.
Right.
They don't really even do that anymore.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm like, guys, what is it you're actually taking your 80% for? Because I don't understand it. Because
Exactly. I'm coming back to that deal, right? So they're already taking, like, let's say 85% of the royalties. If
Yeah.
they're not using that money to you know, do marketing or whatever they need to do that they're saying they're doing, what are you using that money for? You're taking another bunch of the money from the artist again, but what is the rest of the money going? You know, what is it for? It's very
I don't
interesting.
know. I mean, do they even give you statements? Of
well,
what
there's the other thing, because yes, the bigger labels are pretty good at sending out statements, but they do two things. They will not allow you to, if you earned under a certain amount in each statement, it has to be rolled over into the next statement.
Oh, right.
And so you never get your money if it's under a certain amount.
Right.
And I mean, people like yourself, Marcella, you know, big artists and stuff like that, you know, you're going to get a reasonable income because you've big high sales. But for a lot of the vocalists, certainly that we know in the EDM sector, they don't, the money does not trickle down. It does not trickle down to them at all. And with these 360 deals as well, where they're taking your publishing as well, it's like, so what's left for us?
What's the
I mean,
point?
I wouldn't sign that, but a lot of people do. A
Yeah.
lot of people do.
Yeah, I know. That's the problem. A lot of people do. So they get away with it because they can.
Yeah. And so
Exactly.
so the reason we're talking about this, and you know, is because this is something that we're trying to at least get the word out that this is kind of going on. I'm not saying that we're going to have a magic wand and we're going to be able to change standards, but at least to educate creators to say, look, you know, actually, guys and girls, you've got power here, because without you, there is no record
Right.
industry.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, during the pandemic, I read that you wrote 70 tracks. Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really the only way that I could deal with, you know, what was going on in the world. Here we are hit with this thing, the first time in my lifetime that there was a global pandemic, and the world's completely unprepared.
Yeah.
And my country is being led by an
Crazy
idiot who has no idea on how to lead a country under this situation.
I'm with you there, Marcella.
You know, so I'm looking out that window. I'm in my studio, and I'm looking out that window going, shit, it's scary out there. What can I do? I'm going to write. I'm just going to devote all of this energy to writing. And one of the first songs I wrote was called Vicious Bitch. And it's
We want to talk about it. We love it. It's such a cool song.
It's about Mother Nature, how she can be so wonderful and, you know, beautiful, and then she can throw you a pandemic. Like, she could be like this bitch that throws you this pandemic. Okay, deal with this. Now what are you gonna do with this?
I love this. I really love the story behind it. You're so right. You're absolutely right. Like, one day, you know, the sun is shining. You're like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. The next day, like, the storm is hitting. Yeah, exactly. Pandemic.
Next day, we can't, the freaking country shut down. We can't even get toilet paper for 3 weeks. Like, honey, how are we going to make these 3 rolls of toilet paper last for 3 weeks? I don't know. Go to the local market, look around, you know, what about food? Well, we can still get that, but we have to wear, like, we ordering all these masks and these, you know, face shields and gloves, and because we don't want to get nobody knew what was going on, and nobody knew how to really protect themselves.
Nobody did at all. And I think that it was actually terrifying because of the misinformation
Oh yeah.
that was put out there. I mean,
Big time,
it's frightening enough. Can I ask a question though? So both of you, why was it toilet paper that was the issue for everybody? I have no idea. I'm like, what about food and other stuff? Why was toilet paper the thing everybody was hoarding? It's like
that is one thing like I will remember like later when I'm older.
Right? I mean,
I really don't know.
That's so weird.
Found out why.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be like I don't know, like a food, something with food, you know. But yeah, toilet paper, interesting.
Like water, like if it was water or something, you know, like bottled water, that would have been
understandable, right? Okay, because you need that to survive. But the other thing that was astonishing me was the price gouging that was going on in Amazon. You know, because obviously that was your online store.
Oh,
and I remember like, oh, I better get some hand sanitizer, and it was like, yeah, $40,000. No, I'm joking.
Right.
And I'm like, why? People are just so rotten.
I know.
Yeah.
It's just so rotten.
I remember like it was so bad over here in Ireland that I was so scared just going out. So when I was just taking a walk around my little neighborhood, because we were not allowed to walk like further, you know, you can only stay like around your little house. I took gloves on when walking outside, just having a fresh air, and nobody was like even near me, but I was so scared.
Wow.
They really manipulated it really, like now, like looking back at it, you think, wow, as you say, like misinformation, right?
Misinformation.
I was so scared. I would call my mom and say, don't talk to anyone because I don't want you to die. And it's just like really messed you up.
But the good thing was it did bring a lot of appreciation to family that perhaps were divided at times. Here's a question for you. Did you get COVID?
We finally did last year.
Last year, wow! You must have good genes.
Maybe, I don't know. We got all our vaccinations like as soon as they were available, you know. So I'm sure that helped. But I mean, I've read that eventually everybody's going to get it anyway. It's just a matter of when, you know.
Yeah. I don't know anyone who hasn't had it.
You guys have it? Did you?
Yeah, I had it 3 times.
Oh,
I got it once.
But I survived.
For me, it was like a small little flu, like a little cough. I'm like, okay, that's it, you know. But for others, obviously, it was horrendous. So it's just a strange thing to live through.
I was standing in the garden the other day, and I said to my husband, I said, isn't it amazing? Look what we've come through in our marriage. We came through the pandemic together.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
It's you have a moment of appreciation because so many people lost.
I know,
and that's sad.
It's really
so odd. It's such a weird thing to live through, and never. Also, like you said, Marcella, I never thought, you know, we would go through that. Like now, in our times, right?
In our time, you know, with modern medicine and capability. It's kind of like watching a movie. Like a bad movie, like
a really bad movie for way too long. Yeah.
Wow, I can't believe this is happening. They still don't have a vaccine. It's still so unprepared. But not just here, obviously, and all over the world. So
So back to the vicious bitch. Back to the vicious bitch. Go ahead, there.
So we're gonna show a clip of it because it's so awesome.
She breaks, she doesn't fix, you make, but most of it she cries. When you're happiest, she fights. When you give up, generous. When there's enough, she hides. But in plain sight, she can be kind for a little while. I think I need therapy. Situations got the best of me. This roller coaster's going down. I'm up, I'm sideways on the ground. Powers that be are out of control. The lights are on, but nobody's home. Hey, everybody, her winters can get
All right, so that song is so cool. Right, I love the vibe as you mentioned, like, or as we mentioned before, that it's so like maybe like a bit electronic music vibey in there, and
Yeah.
so you wrote, yeah, I don't know, 70 tracks, and you released your album Gold, right? Is so what happens with like the rest of the tracks? Is that something that you're gonna continue to release different albums with all those tracks?
Um, I'm not sure. I mean, maybe at some point, if I think, they weren't all great songs, but some of them I wrote for my publishers, but there was like a common thread going through the ones that I chose to be on the album. So I was like, oh, well, this sounds like it needs to be on an album of mine. And the rest of it were like, submitted for my publishers at the time to write for film and TV, which is
Nice. That's good.
two
Very
more.
cool.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe I'll release like a collection of the pandemic songs at some point.
Very
Would
cool.
love to hear that.
Yes.
Just for shits and giggles.
Just for
Yeah.
shits and giggles.
It's probably like major hits in there though.
I don't know. I don't even know what a major hit is anymore. I mean, it's hard to, as a solo artist, like when I did release my Gold album, that was at the end of 2021, my song Alien to Me, which I had remixed by Seventh Heaven, and they did a fantastic job. It actually got on the UK Music Week commercial charts. We were number
Very cool.
7.
Nice.
And Dua Lipa were number 1, and we were number 7. They did a great job. They turned it into this huge anthem. It's very dance, very electronic. I like that style of music, and I've ventured into that on several of my albums, but I keep going back and forth. What am I feeling now?
Yeah.
I like the fact you do that kind of, how do I feel? Just keep it fluid. I like that. That's very cool. Very cool.
It could be cool, but I mean, some people, like I've had a DJ say to me when I did an interview for the album, oh yeah, you are like, you do so many different things. It's kind of hard to keep track of what you do. As a brand,
right.
It's good to stick to one thing. But
well, I don't know.
I like get bored.
I heard that as well. People used to say to me, what are you? What is it you're actually doing? Are you your house vocalist, your pop vocalist, your trance vocalist? And I'm like, I'm everything. That's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Everything as well. Yeah. So I don't want to be pigeonholed particularly, to be honest with you.
Exactly. There are some artists that only, they keep the same kind of style throughout the whole career. Yeah. And I guess the fans appreciate that because they know what they're getting.
Exactly. Perfect wording. Yeah.
Yeah, right. They know what they're getting, but it kind of puts you like in a box as an artist that you have to have that style. And if you are in that box, then maybe you're missing other chances to create something incredible that would be totally different.
That's right. It's so funny that you use the word box, because on my Gold album, I have a song called Boxes, and it's all about that stuff in boxes.
Yeah.
And, and I have a few songs that are about that subject, because I get so angry that people need, it's just human nature, I guess, people want labels. They want to know what they're getting. Like when they go to McDonald's, they want to know that they're getting a McDonald's Big Mac.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Boring. That's just me anyway. Boring. Well, no, because that's actually poses a really interesting question, because, and this is a question you've asked before to another artist, Linnea. So you've got a good few big songs, hit songs. What if you were going out night after night singing the same songs over and over and over and over again, and just on repeat? Would that not get boring?
You asking me?
Yeah.
No, strangely enough.
All right, cool.
Never got boring for me. It's like, maybe it's because every time I approach it, I try to think of a different angle or connect with that initial emotion.
Right.
It's like an acting experience, recreating that emotion and that emotional connection. to it and just, you know, performing it and connecting to it and delivering it.
Yeah.
I've never really gotten bored with it. Maybe once in a while with Lay Down Sally, like everybody wants their Lay Down Sally. Okay. So maybe once in a while I've thought, oh God, I forgot to do this again. So, but you know, I'm proud of it, and that's what I chose to do, and you know, I'm grateful for the opportunity. So,
well,
so
I think that's cool. Very cool. You and I met about 10 years ago in Beverly Hills, and I got to tell you a really funny story because Linnea doesn't know this story. I'm just going to tell it for her effect. So, you know, we were all like, going to meet Marcella Detroit, like this, you know. So we're going to Beverly Hills, and so we got all you know, all dressed up to go to Beverly Hills, and we got there, and Marcella's sitting there, chilled out as you like, you know. She's in her jeans, and she's just and I saw her face. You probably won't remember this, but as your face was like, because we're all in glitz and glamour and.
No way.
Completely. No, we were completely over the top.
Beverly Hills,
but it's the perception, isn't it? It's the perception of, you know, all that. Anyway, we were talking a lot about the music industry and the way that vocalists and writers were treated within the industry at the time. And I remember we were talking about, you know, ways that, you know, ideas about how ways it could change and what we could do. Well, obviously I had a bit of a sabbatical for 10 years because I burned myself completely out, Marcella, trying to sort of fight this, but back again. And now you know, we've had Taylor Swift, Snoop Dogg, you know, a bunch of artists now really speaking out about the industry and the fact that there needs to be some kind of reformation. So what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think, you know, it's going to take artists speaking out to make any kind of change.
Right.
Because the music business is definitely not what it used to be.
No.
There is, I don't know, I've heard like will.i.am say there is no more music business as we.
That's interesting.
Yeah. He said that like 8 years ago, I think, as well. But it's just so hard to come up against it. It would take it to be like a collective thing with every major artist involved to come up against the money and the power of the labels. And if that could happen, then there's a chance.
I think what we're seeing like in Hollywood, you know, like all the actors going out together, I think all the artists should actually, like this small and big, go out together and say, this is enough. Like we need to come with a better solution here.
And stop doing stupid shit. Giving, well, I mean, in LA, I don't know about Detroit, but excuse my language. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear.
You can say whatever you like, Marcella.
Yes.
You.
Great. Then. So I would say to these new artists who are going to these open mic nights and are doing stuff for free repeatedly, you'd have no idea how this affects everybody. Because basically these clubs are doing open mic nights. They don't have to pay for entertainment, and they get, you know, they get to use you and the business that you drum up, and they pay you nothing. Here in LA, I mean, I've just kind of given up playing here because it's a joke. It's just a joke, and they don't really pay enough to pay a band. So I just, you know, I love music and I do love performing, but not when it all comes out of my own pocket. It's just not worth it. So we've got to, if, like you said, if everybody were to join together and be really strong and stand up with conviction and do what is going to help everyone, not just yourself, because you want to be seen and you want to be famous. I mean, that's the thing. Everybody I just want to be famous. You know, it's not about being famous. It's about having a passion for something.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah.
I think some of the vocalists that are doing the opening mic, for example, they are probably doing that because they want to be found, right, by somebody. They want to be you, Marcella, for example. So if they turn that down, how are they gonna be seen? Okay, we have the internet, but what
Stream.
would be your suggestion?
I would say stream it, stream it on your own platform. And you're
got
not
it.
making money there anyway, but if you
Yeah.
have the talent and you can accompany yourself and, go on, stream on Instagram, stream on TikTok, stream on, Facebook. But when you go into this venue and you're giving up your, I don't know. I mean, do it if you want to. I mean, it's up to you if you want, and that's the only way you can be seen. But a lot of time I go to these things and there's like nobody there. So you're being used and abused anyway. So at least if you're on a platform like a streaming platform, I think you have more of a chance of being seen, especially if you have a target audience, or you can kind of plug into something that's already existing, be a guest on a podcast. That kind of thing.
Well, I think that's something that we want to do with LoveVocals Nation, is we want to actually do some live streaming, bring on vocalists, and actually raise awareness for new talent, and give them a platform to do that. And the thing is that yes, you're saying that they don't make any money doing these open nights, but people are making money off of them. Right. And again, we're back to the promoters, Linnea, by the way.
Yep.
We're back to them again.
I wanted to mention that, yeah.
Yes, we'll come to that. But at least on streaming platforms, on Twitch TV, they've got the chance to actually get out there and with people like us who really care about them.
Yeah.
Really care about them. We want to push them. We want to give them a shot because we understand the kind of this kind of diluted market they're trying to sort of like fight for attention within these days. So so you're absolutely right. I'm with you 100% on that. So vocalists out there, if you're listening, come and speak to Linnea and I, or even speak to Marcella, because she's always so wonderfully, by the way, I'm going to say, it's wonderfully available on Facebook. You're amazing on Facebook.
Unless you're a crazy maniac, then I will.
Well, yeah, I'll come to that as well. That was wild. So yeah, because it is about valuing yourself, pushing yourself forward. I really, really get that. I know you want to do that, but it's important for the craft, because the craft matters. And even although you want to get forward, there's loads of people that also suffer because of the choices that you're making right now.
Yeah.
If you're doing it for free, people are going to expect it for free.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
And we see that with bands. We see that happening with DJs also, producers, singers, like they are expecting you to just perform for free, right? But they're getting money in, right? So it's all back to that
big
again.
money in, and I get that it's business. I really understand that. But how is the industry going to evolve? How is new talent going to get a shot? How can you develop people, real talent, not fake talent, which is so often happening these days with templates and everything? How is that going to happen if promoters are just choosing a kind of short list of people to appear? And we were talking just recently to quite a few vocalists, and we were saying, hey, why are promoters not, having like vocalist nights and having quite a few, well-known vocalists coming together and like it used to be? Or they don't.
Yeah, that's surprising. But I think that's something that has to, that people like you guys and people like me. I mean, the other day I was thinking, there's so much talent. I know this girl that I'm going to write with next week. She's incredible and should be a household name. I mean, I sometimes think I would just like to start my own club. Yay!
I want to join.
We all want to join that club.
want to start my own club. I want to start my own management company and publishing company, because that's
Yes.
another thing that really bothers me. Publishers who don't know how to talk to a freaking artist. If you don't know anything about music, find another job. I don't care if you have a good business mind. If you're just like, just bullshitting me the whole time and blowing smoke up my ass, excuse me. But if you don't know how to talk to me and be articulate, I can't tell you how many times I've been with publishers who have no idea about music. They don't know what even melody is.
That's sad. That's sad.
Interesting. I actually wanted to ask you about publishers, right? We touched on the topic of publishing and the do's and don'ts, right?
Right.
And her view on getting a publishing deal was to stay away from signing any long-term exclusive deals. So what's your thoughts around that?
Well, if you can do that and you can make a living, that's great. If you have a good lawyer, if you're really clear about your terms, and you see you got to read the fine print, because a lot of them, it might only be a 3-year term initially, but then if they don't recoup and the advance they keep collecting for another 5-7 years, however many long they slip into the contract. So something that you just, again, is important to make sure you know what you're signing, and if you're not interested in that kind of deal and you can sustain a living doing what you love to do, then that's great. I mean, ideally, publishers are like a bank. If they're going to fund you, if they're going to give you a deal and give you an advance, that's great. But just make sure you understand the fine print and what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Lawyers,
you're getting a loan of your own royalties in advance.
Yeah. You apparently do charity work, humanitarian work. Anything you'd like to share?
Once in a while, I've done stuff for the American Cancer Society. I've done some shows and performances for them, and I recently got affiliated through a friend that used to work with Eric Clapton with Teen Cancer America, which is part of Roger Daltrey's from the Who, and Pete Townsend from the Who started this organization, and I recently made some donations to them. But there are things that I care about. I think it's important, to give back as well, and I want to do more of that myself.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah. Teen cancer, especially. I think it's also pediatric cancer, but teen cancer. I don't know of an organization. Any part of the American Cancer Society that what I could do to help, but I'm going to look into that as far as children goes. But with teen cancer, they have I'm going to be helping where I can get them into programs, learning how to be a songwriter.
Nice. I love that.
And putting into music, because I mean that's what we do anyway, and it's a good way to get stuff out and get it out of you and put it out into the atmosphere, and it's a good way to deal with it. So I do that. I have a friend who has Parkinson's disease, and he asked me to be involved in something with him, because when it comes to all these illnesses, people, unless they're directly affected by it, they don't want to know.
Right.
Exactly.
They're frightened.
Yeah.
We're frightened. We're all frightened. Nobody wants to die.
No. Absolutely.
And it's terrifying. So it's like, I'm just going to be in denial about that and not talk about it. But it affects so many people. And when it affects someone and care for, it's a whole different thing. But it could potentially affect anyone.
Exactly. I agree. I like this weekend, I actually played for like a charity cause also for cancer, because we lost a really great musician called Fabio XB, and I was invited to play. And some of the things that we were talking about for raising awareness and money is that people tend to maybe not go in and donate because they're not affected. There's nobody around them that has cancer, but it could be your family, it could be yourself. That's so keep that in mind. Like if you can donate, please do that, because it can make such a huge difference. And maybe one day, who knows, if there's a way to change how it is. But your donations really help, and so I love what you're doing, Marcella. I think it's super important, and that you
Absolutely.
bring some joy to the world also with your music.
Oh,
You do.
thank you. I'm happy to help and to give back, and I feel like I'm at a time in my life where I want to do more of that. I don't know how much more time I have. I mean, nobody really knows. Anything could happen.
No,
Right.
I keep going. I've got 10 good years ahead of me, and I've got to make it count. And and I really mean that. I want to make it count.
Well,
Yeah.
you never know. You never know what the next day will bring, right? So we
Yeah,
have to live fully
absolutely.
right now and today.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Marcella,
Yeah.
if you could create a Shakespeare sister inspired fragrance,
Interesting. I didn't expect that.
what would it smell like? What would you call it?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I never have thought of that ever. It would be kind of deep and musky, and
Ooh.
it would stay on your skin for a really long time.
Love it.
Yeah.
It would probably have some patchouli, a little slight hint of
Oh, I like that.
very slight,
Mhm.
maybe mixed with vetiver and maybe a little bit of rose.
Oh, nice. I like that. Go, you've gone into real depth with this. This is great.
I'm waiting to buy
I
your
want
skin
the
line and
recipe.
your
I'm writing
perfume.
it down.
Seriously.
I want to buy it too.
Yeah.
I don't know what it would be called. Something about I don't know, the Queen's Dreams or something. I don't know. I can't think of anything else right now.
Yeah.
Queen's Dream.
I
Love
like
it.
Yeah.
I'm getting a copy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Me too.
So, and also we wanted to dive a little bit into your songwriting 101 masterclass,
Yeah.
because that I was looking at that and that looked quite interesting. I was actually thinking of maybe signing up myself.
Same, actually. So I might put myself in there.
But yeah, tell us a bit about that. Tell the fans and the
Well,
listeners out there
that's
about
been
it.
fun. I've done 3 or 4 of them now, and I have a certain curriculum that was working. Like I kind of talk for 2 sessions about how to write a song. Well, like where do you start? And how to the importance of having a really strong concept and idea and stuff like that. And then by the 3rd session, we're writing a song together. Now, I might change that because it's been a lot of work on me, which is fine because I love creating. I love being in the studio and I love programming and stuff. So I might change it and say, well, okay, off you go. I've given you these tools. So let's see what you come up with. Even if you're not a musician, you can still write poetry because songs are just really poetry set to music.
I think it's great what you're doing. I think certainly your wealth, and I mean real wealth of experience, could help so many, aspiring and established singers and songwriters. So all power to you. So how do people find your workshop?
Well, if they go to my website, marcelladetroit.com, I will be announcing any, events like that, the next songwriting workshop or releases or anything. It's all up there.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, I know I'm going to check it out, folks.
What's next for Marcella?
Well, I have been contemplating, what I want to do next. And then in the last few years, I was working with a publisher called Pure Music UK. And right before I signed it, I finished the Shakespeare Sister tour. And the idea was they were going to help me get my songs in film and TV. But because of the pandemic, that didn't happen. Not much. There was not much business going on with them. So, so my goal is I'm concentrating on film and TV. But now that we have the writer's strike, hopefully that won't go on too long. But
I'm praying because I've seen people actually worrying now about their livelihood because of that, and so I hope it doesn't go on too long. Truly.
Yeah, but that's my goal. I have somebody that's interested in using my song in a film, and
Wow.
yeah, but we'll see. Until there's funding and an actual agreement,
Right?
Yeah, thing really happens.
I hear that.
But yeah, that's something that I really like to do. I like writing to. I like the challenge of writing to a brief, and writing to order.
Do you like that?
I really enjoy it. Yeah. I like having an assignment. I do it in my style. Sometimes I have to make certain compromises, but it's still me singing it. It's still me doing it. So.
No, I respect that, Marcella.
Yeah.
I think that's a skill to do.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I enjoy it. So I'm looking to do more of that, and I'm making some connections and wanting to connect with music supervisors, and
Nice.
That's my next big goal.
Brilliant. Wow.
Can't wait to hear your music in massive film, maybe in the cinema one day.
Well, she's already got one coming out with Insidious too, right?
It's out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's out. There you go.
There you go. Right, Marcella, I have one more thing before
sure.
I let you go. Right.
Okay.
My father, his name is Torben, and he's a musician. And that's what I told you, like similar to you, he's, put me in the right direction for music and kind of introduced me to the music world. And he is a massive, I'm talking massive fan. So he's like super excited that, you and I have a little chat today, and he's been following you for years, and he's been sending me, like your one-on-one masterclass. He's like, go and do it, talk to Marcella. And I was wondering if you would be able to do a little shout out to my father, Torben.
I think, did he comment on my post the other day?
Yes. Yes. That's my father.
Wow. It was really sweet. That's so nice.
Yeah. He's a major fan. So, I was just wondering if you could say like, hi, Torben, or something.
Of course. It's Torben?
Yeah.
Okay. Of course. Wow. And I remember he said some really nice things too. That's so nice. Sure. Hi, Torben. It's Marcella Detroit here. I'm talking to your beautiful daughter, Linnea. And is that how that's right? Pronouncing?
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm talking to your beautiful daughter, Linnea, and we've just had a most amazing conversation. And she told me how much you've supported her getting into music, and that you're a musician yourself. I just want to thank you for being a great dad and supporting her and her dreams. And thank you for supporting me and what I do.
Yay! Thank you. You have done, I don't know, so much. Yeah. Oh my God, he's going to be like screaming.
I know, he's going to go mad. He's going to go mad.
But yeah, he's always commenting on your Facebook and stuff. He's following you, and he probably listens to your music like all the time. So like,
oh my God, that's so good. Well, thank you.
He's like, he loves the blues, the rock,
really?
the real rock. And you definitely bring that to the music industry. So we were really thankful.
Thank you. Thank you. Please thank him for me.
No.
I will. Thank you.
So my daughter's also a pastry chef, and she said, would you please ask Marcella what her favorite dessert is?
Ooh, okay. Well, the first thing that came to mind is apple tart tatin.
Apple tart
tasty.
tatin, right?
Yeah,
is that
it's like a French apple tart with cream and maybe ice cream.
Is it to die for? I haven't tried it.
Get it really good here in America. She could make it. That's the thing. Have her make it and taste it. Oh my God!
Well, you can send a cookie to Marcella.
Yeah, we can. We'll send you some apple tart tatin.
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah.
So good.
Marcella, you have been an absolutely amazing guest today, and it's been an
Yes.
absolute pleasure. Genuinely, you're such a lovely person.
Yes.
And
I wish you
easy to
so
talk
much
with.
good for you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. We've been talking about this for a while, and
Yeah.
I've seen it, both of you on social media, and love what you're doing to, you know, try to help, you know, the cause and support artists and vocalists and stuff. And I think it's wonderful that you guys genuinely care and are trying to make a difference. So it was really an honor and a pleasure to talk to you. And
Bless you. Thank you. It was lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And that brings us to the end of a fantastic chat with the amazing Marcella Detroit on Love Vocals Nation. So let's make some noise, spread the word, and be the change we want to see. Don't forget to follow Marcella on her socials. Check out her amazing songwriting workshop 101 and amazing tracks on Spotify. So you're going to go off into the Beverly Hills sunset now and have a...
that's just over the hill that
No.
way. So I'm in Studio City, but yeah, it's a bit posh over there for the likes of me. But I am just here in Studio City, and it's boiling hot today, like 100.
Wow, is it?
Wow.
Really hot. It's really
Yeah. The temperatures are just going nuts.
crazy.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah,
Marcella, you take good care of yourself, and
you
Yes.
too.
stay in touch. Stay in touch,
Will do.
and thank you for
Yeah.
And
Thank
you
you so
too.
much. Thank you.
See you
Take
out
care.
there sometime soon.
Yeah.
Lots of love, peace, and music.
Yep.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.